Hello, my crafty friends. It's me, Lisa, the DIY Diva, and I have a bunch of new Christmas crafts for your holiday decorating. Lots of DIY, so let's get started.
It all just goes away. The things I plan to say. Oh, baby.
Now this first one is really easy. I just took a piece of wood and I painted it red after I had stained it. And what I want to do is put a picture on the back. So I have this paper and I think I found the one that I like. So I think I'm going to go with the Santa Claus and the reindeer, I think, on the back of this little piece of wood. And I'm going to start by decoupaging the paper or the print onto the back of wood. So I'm using some Mod Podge and I'm just going to put the picture where I want it to be on the wood. And then I smoothed it down, and once it was dry, then I cut it out so that it was more the size of the block of wood. Then I used a little hand sander and just sanded away all of the excess paper. This is a really easy way to get a nice edge on the paper. I did want to add a little bit of texture to the front of it as well, not necessarily to make it look aged, but just to have some of that natural wood show through. Then I used my Cricut machine and I cut out a stencil with the word happy. I don't know where I saw this, but I love this and I really like incorporating this into my decorating. So I wanted to have one for Christmas time. And once I had the stencil all smoothed down to make sure that the paint is just going to stay in the open areas, then using a sponge, I just took some acrylic paint and dabbed it onto the lettering. Now I did do this with a couple of coats of paint. It does seem to work better and I get less bleeding by doing a couple of thin coats of the paint. And before that last coat of paint dries, that is when it's the best time to remove the stencil. If you wait until it dries, it can actually pull off some of the paint. And once I have all of the interior portions of that stencil pulled out, look at that. A cute little happy block for my Christmas decorating. Now this craft is so much fun. I've had these pieces from the Dollar Tree and what I want to do is make stocking caps. So first I'm going to remove that arrow from the love meter sign and I knew I would be able to use this for something. And right now Dollar Tree has these little campers, I guess they're campers, travel trailers. So I went out to my garage and just cut off the excess so they look like stocking caps. I think they already do, don't you? I used a little bit of Mod Podge on the back side of the pieces and then found some scrapbooking paper that had a nice Christmas pattern on it. And once I had the Mod Podge applied, then I put the scrapbook paper onto the block of wood. I used my scraping tool to secure the scrapbook paper to the wood. I also used my brayer tool a little bit too. It really helps to smooth that paper down onto the wood. Then I came back with my tiny hand sander. This thing is so wonderful. I love this. And I just removed all of that excess paper. Then I decided I wanted to paint that plain edge. So for the green hat, I'm going to use green paint. And I was just really careful to not get it onto the front of my stocking cap. I have seen this done with material too. So you could do material, say you had a really pretty Christmas print pattern that you wanted to use. That would look really pretty too. I didn't have any material, but I did have a lot of scrapbooking paper, so I decided to use that. And using the paint on the edge that's going to show, I think it works out very well, as long as you go slow and take your time. I don't know if your Dollar Tree has these, but this is a pom-pom maker, and these can be kind of expensive. So when I saw it at the Dollar Tree, I thought I would give it a try. They also have yarn, and this is like teddy bear yarn. And to make a pom-pom with this pom-pom maker, you just wrap the yarn around each of those sections. So you're going to wrap a lot of yarn around the half circle sections of the pom-pom maker. You want to have it nice and full, and that will give you a big full pom-pom. Then you close the pom-pom maker up, and using the guided area, you just cut the yarn. Now this pom-pom maker does work pretty well. It's not quite as good as the Clover pom-pom makers, but if you can find this at your Dollar Tree and you want an easy way to make pom-poms, this tool is very helpful. Then I just tied some yarn around the center of the pom-pom. I tied it on one side, then I flipped it over and tied a knot on the other side. And then this is the magic part. You just pull the pom-pom maker away from the yarn. And you have a pom-pom. Now this wasn't quite perfect. I did add a lot of yarn, so I did trim away some of the excess to make it more round. I did also cut away the end pieces that I had tied. I don't need them. And I think that actually looks really pretty. So here is my red and white striped stocking cap, but I want to give it a little edge. So I'm going to take that same yarn and I'm just going to wrap it around the bottom part of the hat. I did use my hot glue gun as I went along just to make sure that all of the yarn was secure. And once I was happy with the bottom edge of the cap, I used a little bit more hot glue on the back and secured that yarn down. Then I took my pom-pom and I put it on the top center of the piece of wood, which is now really looking like a stocking cap. Look at how cute that is. I did it a little bit differently on the green cap. I had this organza type material ribbon stuff, so I put that on the bottom. I thought it would look really pretty with the green pattern that is on this stocking cap, and it went around the bottom a couple of times so that the paper pattern wouldn't show through. Then I came back with some more of that Dollar Tree yarn and put that in the center. And I wanted to make a pom-pom for this hat too, but I wanted to see if I could do it with just my hand and not using the pom-pom maker. So I just wrapped a bunch of that yarn around my hand. Then I tied another piece of yarn around the center. It's the basic principle that the pom-pom maker does, but it's just not quite as full. And after wrapping that yarn around the center a couple more times, then I tied another knot on the opposite side. And then the looped ends I just cut off. So it almost looks like a bow. This might actually make a really pretty bow just like that. Then I just fluffed up my little pom-pom and I put it onto the front of my stocking cap. That is so cute. This is a little bit different than the red stocking cap, but this is what makes crafting so much fun. You can try things out and see if you like it, or if it doesn't work, you can simply pull it off and start over. But I do like the two different pom-poms on both of these cute little holiday hats. Now for this project, I'm starting off with this collage picture frame that I found at the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take everything out. I only want the frame portion. I am going to use the back of it as well, but I want to use this Dollar Tree tile because I wanted to have this tiled background. So I attached the tile to the back of the frame and then I cut it down to size. Now you can see the tile, well, that sticky backing, it's not secured all the way to the tile. So I did put a little bit of glue onto it and then I just patted it down. Next, I came in with some burnt umber acrylic paint and I painted the entire tile with the brown paint. And once that brown paint had dried, I came back with some folk art chalk paint. And I'm painting it all white because at first I thought I wanted it to be dark, but I changed my mind. So I then came back with the white chalk paint. See, this is what I mean by you can play around when you're crafting. If something doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. You just change up what you're doing. Now, once the chalk paint had dried, then I did come back with the burnt umber paint. And at first I took the burnt umber paint and highlighted the details of the tile. Then I came back with a little chip brush and using that burnt umber paint, I just filled in the little details of the tile. Then I used some pine greenery pieces because I'm going to make a wreath on the center of the tile. I just secured the greenery in a circle shape on the tile. And this is the first layer of the pine greenery. I just want to get the basic shape of a circle or a wreath. Then I came back with a few more of those pine branches and filled in any of the empty areas. And I do like the different colors of those pine branches. I think it gives it some nice dimension. I wanted it to look like it had some snow on it, so I used some of the folk art chalk paint to dry brush a little bit of paint onto it to make the wreath look more snowy. And then I used some ribbon to make a bow. And I secured the bow to the top of my wreath. I did add a few more loops of that ribbon to make the bow a little bit fuller. And then I took some rusty jingle bells and I tied some jute twine to them and secured that to the center. And then I used a pine cone to really hide that jute twine. Next, I took the picture frame itself and secured it to the tile. One thing I didn't show you was I did paint that picture frame with burnt umber paint as well, and then coated it with Mod Podge so the paint won't flake off. And now I have a very pretty wreath that is ready to be used in my decorating. I love how this turned out. It is so pretty and it really gives like a farmhouse Christmas type look. Now, Dollar Tree at one time had these really cool cutting boards, and I've seen this before where people have taken bamboo skewers and put them over top of the cutting board. So that was what I wanted to try with this project. So I coated a small section of the cutting board with Dollar Tree wood glue, and then I started attaching the bamboo skewers. And I thought it would be pretty easy, but it was a little bit challenging because some of the skewers are not exactly straight. But what I did was just put a bunch of the skewers in place and then drag them down into the glue. They kind of rolled a little bit so that I got a little bit of glue even onto the front of the skewers, but that will not matter in the end result of this project. I just continued working my way up the cutting board and attaching more of the skewers. If you really want to improve the look of these Dollar Tree cutting boards, doing something like this gives it a nice dimension and it really just elevates the look, in my opinion. I continued with the skewers all the way up to the top of the cutting board. When I got to the top, I did use just pieces of the skewers because I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough, but in the end, it only took 1 pack of these bamboo skewers to completely cover this cutting board. Then I let all of those skewers dry, took it out into my garage, and using a squirrel saw, I cut around the outline of the cutting board to get it to be this shape. I did sand the edges as well. Then I came back with some burnt umber paint and some water to kind of thin down the water. It makes it more like a stain. And I just put that all over the cutting board. I think this looks so much better. It's so pretty, and it definitely does not look like it came from the Dollar Tree. Now, once all of my paint had dried, I did want to add a little bit of extra embellishments, so I made a bow to put into the center right at the top of the board. And that does look pretty like that, but I have to be extra. So I'm going to be using these beads, which are like garland that I got from Walmart. And I cut it down to the size I wanted it to be so I could drape it over the top of the cutting board. How pretty is that? But me being me, I had to be a little bit extra still, and I added some greenery pieces that would sit just behind the bow. And I am very happy with how that looks. I like that look. And here is my Dollar Tree cutting board with the Walmart garland, ready to be used in my holiday decorating this year. This is an easy project, and it is so much fun. So I have 2 of these Dollar Tree doll houses. And I'm going to cut those little end pieces off. Those end pieces, I believe, are to connect them together, but we don't need them for this project. So once I get them lined up, then I'm going to use some big craft sticks, and I'm going to cut one down to the size of the roof. Then using my hot glue gun, I'm going to put some glue on the back of one side of the craft sticks, and then I'm going to secure it to the top. This is going to join both houses together. And then I'm going to continue this process wherever there are seams on the dollhouse. So there's another side of the roof. And then when you're on the side, like the house side, it works really well just to put some hot glue on and then smooth it down. Now, once I had the dollhouse all pieced together, then I just painted it with some tan paint. And this is just acrylic paint. I did end up going back and doing 3 coats of paint to get a nice solid covering of paint so that none of that plastic showed through. And then I found this puffy paint at the Dollar Tree. And anywhere that was raised, I went ahead and painted it with the puffy paint. And you can make your own designs if you want to, but I just wanted to follow the pattern that was already basically laid out for me on this dollhouse. So I just continued the process, covering everything with the white puffy paint. covering up all of those raised lines with the white puffy paint. It makes it super easy because you're basically just tracing along the pattern. And as you can see, just by following the pattern of what was already there, it looks pretty good. Next, while the puffy paint was still wet, I took some iridescent glitter and I just put that right on top of the paint. And I just worked in sections of the house. And here is the end result. Look at this adorable little gingerbread house that I made using 2 Dollar Tree doll houses, some puffy paint, and some glitter. Now for this project, I'm using a Dollar Tree charger, and I'm actually going to be using the bottom side and also an empty coffee can. I have this B7000 glue. It's kind of like E6000. It's not my favorite, but I figured I need to use it up, so I put that around the top edge of the coffee can and then used a little bit of hot glue to get the instant stick that I wanted. Then I took the coffee can, tipped it upside down, and put it in the center of the charger plate. I also added a little bit of hot glue all the way around the edge of the coffee can because I don't want to have a seam. It's not going to show in the end project, but just in case, I did secure all the way around the edge of the coffee can with some hot glue. Once that was completely dry, this is what it looks like. Then I came back with some black acrylic paint and I painted the entire piece with the black acrylic paint. I'm pretty sure you know what this is going to be, but just in case, I'm making a giant snowman hat. So I painted the entire hat with 1 coat of the acrylic paint. It does take a couple of coats of paint, but just 1 coat for the beginning is fine. Now, once that was dry, I did come back with a 2nd coat of acrylic paint. I did do a little bit thicker paint on this coat because I'm going to come back with this glitter that I got at the Dollar Tree. I cannot believe I got this at the Dollar Tree. And while that acrylic paint was wet, I put that black glitter all over the hat. Look at how shiny that is. It definitely gives a Frosty the Snowman look, I think. So just putting all of that glitter all over the hat and making sure it was completely coated. This is why it's important for the acrylic paint to still be wet because the glitter will stick. Then I came back with some Dollar Tree ribbon. I don't know what kind of ribbon this is, but they have it every year. It wouldn't be my first choice for a lot of projects, but for this Frosty the Snowman hat, it works wonderful. I secured the ribbon to the bottom part of the top hat. And then I came back with some little pine pieces and I tested out to see what it would look like with the pine greenery. Once I was happy with how that was going to look, then I secured them in place with the hot glue. Sometimes I like to test out first what it's going to look like before I commit to really securing a piece in place on the project. Then I took some red berries and I secured those to the bottom edge of the pine pieces. And I thought the jingle bell would look nice too, so I put a little rusty jingle bell. And then I had this, I don't even know what it is. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby, but I just cut pieces off of it and then attached it in underneath the pine greenery so it'd be sticking out around. And that is my Frosty the Snowman hat. This was such an easy project. Anybody could do this, and it cost me less than, what, $4 to make this really awesome decoration for my decor. If you're looking for an easy project to elevate your decor, you've got to try this. Now for this project, I'm going to be using this Dollar Tree floral foam and this basket that I got for $1.99 at Goodwill. It's a pretty basket, and it was a good price. First, I'll remove all of that plastic outer wrapping on the floral foam, and then I'm going to attach this piece right into the center. Next, I cut down some other floral foam, and I secured it to either side of the original piece of foam with some hot glue. Then I took one of these Dollar Tree ornaments. It's like a house, and it's got some embellishments, just the wreath. And I removed all of the embellishments, and then I used nutmeg brown paint and painted the entire house. I tried to make sure to get the inside as well. Then I took a bunch of extra greenery picks and different pieces of pine, and I pushed that down into the foam. The back of the basket isn't going to be showing, so I'm really focusing on the front part of this basket. Then I took some of these Dollar Tree bottle brush trees. You get 3 for $1.25, and I removed the base. If you simply twist the bottom, the base will come off very easily. Then I tucked those into my basket as well. One was kind of in the center, and I pushed one off to the side, so I did have to use a smaller piece of the floral foam to have it stay in place. And once my little house ornament was dry, I came back and coated the roof of the house with some chalk paint. I also brushed some of that white chalk paint onto the front of the house as well. That's an easy way to get a gingerbread house look without having to do a lot of work. Then I took another piece of the floral foam and secured it to the bottom of the house. And then tucked it into the basket. And I wanted my pine to look like it had snow on it, so I used a little bit of the folk art chalk paint and just lightly brushed that onto all of the greenery pieces. It does definitely give it more of a flocked appearance. Next, I took some red berries and I just tucked those in between the pine pieces. And there is my adorable little display. I really do like this, but I did want to add a little bit of extra, so I hot glued in some pine cones, and then I took some little fairy twinkle lights from the Dollar Tree, and I just mingled those in between all of the berries and the pine pieces. And while I was putting in all of those lights, I thought it would look nice to light up the house, so I made sure to put a light in the house as well. And this is the end result. I think it is adorable. It is so pretty, and it was very affordable to make, and it was actually really easy. I hope I've inspired you to get into your craft room and make some new decorations for Christmas this year. If you've enjoyed this video, go ahead and click the subscribe button and click the bell notification so you'll get an alert every time I have a new video coming out. Like I always say, I've got a lot more crafts to share with you, so I'm going to go get into my craft room and start crafting, and I hope I've inspired you to do the same. Happy crafting!
Give you a Christmas, a moment we'll fill with love and joy. So beautiful, kissing on